So you see how I'm actually decently reasonable. Even though I don't necessarily like religion, I'm more than happy to accept it as it is, while O'Malley pretty much wants it destroyed. Both of those things are our actual opinions, but O'Malley presented their opinions somewhat differently than they normally do, for a purpose of helping me help you to see through the lies of various propagandizing organizations, such as Fox News, as well as many other religious groups, such as the white Christian nationalists and Islamic jihadists. I believe that these extremes are more rare than O'Malley does, with their opinion being that almost all religious organizations contain such extremism and strong propagandizement, where I really just don't care. So long as it isn't hurting anybody, you do you. Now that the clarification is out of the way, let's get down to the actual message we were sending you, and how exactly we used propaganda techniques to do it, so that you can be better defended from them in the future. So, did you catch the levels of inception O'Malley and I were doing? We both want you to think more critically. We both know that you already were being critical of my overgeneralization of O'Malley's positions, but they still made an address. Was that response O'Malley made redundant? Hell no. What they did was, quote-unquote, disproving your criticality of me and proving what you expected of them before criticizing me in the same way as I did them, to further add to your sense of rage at them and increase your trust of me. O'Malley responded with what could easily be summed up as exactly what I said, but significantly more complicated, because what I said was a valid generalization of what O'Malley later would say. But the thing is, who does that consistently? Propagandists' assistants. Propagandists do not work alone, but have a network of allies that pose as their enemies who prove their point, as well as others who add to their point. O'Malley chose to quote-unquote prove my point by meeting the expectations I lay out for you to make, making you support me more, whether you initially agreed with me or not. What I want you to do is see enough to answer the question, what did O'Malley do? They found a statistic via excessive rounding. They overgeneralized in the same way I did, except their perspective was anti-something you potentially support, and I was anti-something you had never first heard of and probably also opposed. You feel more like it's an override generalization when it's something pointing towards you, but you couldn't care less when it's pointing towards something else that is largely unrelated to you. O'Malley knew you would feel like that. They knew those would be the results, and they knew that I would take these results and hand them to you. This is our attempt at counter-propaganda, using the same propaganda techniques often used to attack you, to help you feel and fully recognize and compartmentalize how such propaganda is used so that you will be more prepared to see it next time and thus protect yourself from it. One of the heaviest users of this form of propaganda is Fox News, though they have a higher tendency to clip other people's statements out of context and use them in the same way O'Malley was allowing me to use them in this situation. So I would suggest if you watch Fox News, you should probably watch in full other news channels and attempt to view them objectively. You need to recognize that there is no conspiracy, but instead people who are worried about the same thing, but are reading the numbers with a different perspective. Don't discount other people's perspective. Recognize that it is just as valid as yours, and keep it in mind. The world will be more united and better able to work together if you do so. So let's add my notes on this. The reason I am telling you this instead of O'Malley is because their chunk needed to be separated from due to its relative extremity, and thus your emotional reaction to it. You needed to be seething against O'Malley, but willing to hear me, so yes, we did just use the form of propaganda on you to get you to realize that the form of propaganda exists, and you need to watch out for it. This is counter-propaganda at its most fundamental and finest, and it is what O'Malley and I love doing. We want you to be protected from every form of manipulation we can think of. So, how exactly did O'Malley get those strange statistics? Pretty simple. They looked up a given religion and asked, does a majority group of this religion have a directly harmful or bigoted belief? And then counted the entire religion as faulty if that chunk of the religion was a majority. This is an extremely unacceptable margin of error in statistics, which cannot be accepted in any actual proper news report. And yet, we see that happening all the time, especially from Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, along with Elon Musk and a variety of other conservative talking heads. Normally, O'Malley would never do that, and yet they were doing that for the explicit purpose of providing you with a solid example. One which, even if you're conservative, you will immediately recognize and hopefully apply to your own news reporters, so you'll be better protected from being entrapped within their propaganda. But back to the specific example. Technically, it is honest, but it is so damn far from the truth just by being so damn broad and sloppy that it may as well be lying. This form of rounding makes the numerical stats of all of Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and several others to be classified as exclusively destructive. And with the three named religions, that makes up the full 80-ish% of religions. That's how such a high percent can be classified as destructive when you round to such an insane extent as was done for this example. In reality, the parts of those religions that are fucked up aren't too prevalent, but they are majority subgroups in each of these religions. Christianity, with its general homophobia and transphobia, Islam, with its jihadist groups and bigotry, and Hinduism, with its caste system, though that system is no longer prevalent in all of Hinduism. Now that I have shown you the simple stuff, here's what to expect. We are going to use the manipulative means of propaganda explicitly for the purpose of demonstrating them and helping you prepare yourself to counter them in the future. We are doing counter-propaganda, as well as just giving you a hell of a lot of info about the Antarctic. So now, please allow only one form of manipulation to enter your mind and affect you. That being your interest in this video series, inducing you to both like and subscribe to ensure that it's more beneficial for us to maintain our current production and hopefully in the future provide us with the necessary resources to accelerate it further and increase its quality. When O'Malley sees this video, they're probably going to say that I left out the main priority, which is attacking bigotry. They would have focused both upon providing you with tools to eliminate your weakness to propaganda and also simultaneously attacked bigotry, but I'm not really up for such. levels of added detail, so I'll just be doing it separately.